Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Looking closer to home, the long-awaited new Border Paws animal shelter is officially opened, and our Abby St. John has an exclusive first look at their new building.
We took a building from nothing, built all the walls, the rooms that we needed, and moved all of everything we've had for how many years over to this beautiful place, and it's so exciting.
After a long waiting period, the shelter is finally opened and there is a ton more space to house more animals and take care of them while they're waiting to find their forever home.
We can house more animals now, so we can help a lot more. We have proper ventilation, so disease management is so much easier to take care of. We'll have less sick animals, and it's so wonderful. We have separate rooms for every part of our animal system. So we have our own medical room, we have our own cat adoptable rooms, plural. Dog adoptables is all a separate room. Everything is all separate. We have a beautiful big laundry room so we can clean so much easier.
The shelter also has space for community members to host their own events at the building.
The community is more than welcome to host a birthday party here. If you want to do a yoga night even, we have the space for that. Always come out and walk dogs. We're right close to the one off-leash dog park, so we have plenty of space. We'll have a beautiful backyard soon, and just anything you want, just talk to us. I'm sure we can accommodate everything.
Each room and kennels can be sponsored by businesses or community members. The shelter is still looking for more sponsors.
So your plaques go on the outside of those rooms so everybody sees like, hey, I helped. We do have cat kennels and dog kennels that you can sponsor that get a plaque on as well. So if you're looking for a great birthday present, that's always a good one.
All the information on sponsoring will be found on their website, and for upcoming events, visit their social media pages. Abby St. John, Primetime Local News.
And more good news for the shelter. Border Paws has recently received money from the city of Lloydminster. Our Callan Dunlop has more on how this money will benefit them.
It was discussed at council earlier this week to provide funds to Border Paws. They initially requested the $300,000 in late February with their new building on the horizon.
Border Paws had made a request of council for support, capital support to finish or work towards completing their new location, the shelter. Having seen the work that's been done to this point, I was very impressed with the work that I'd had the chance to be toured through. The challenge that was put before council is, do we provide the money this year and let them continue on, or do we spread it over 2 years and sort of just that perspective?
Council chose to pay the $300,000 in 1 year opposed to 2, a choice that everyone on council agreed with.
Border Paws has been doing a great work in our community. They have a dedicated board who's working really hard as volunteers to bring this service to our community. And it's a service that if they weren't doing it, we would have to, as a city, have a pound service. And we could not do it for the same value that they're able to, because they draw in so many volunteers.
This funding is planned to have a tremendous impact on the new Border Paws location moving forward.
Just to help with the general renovation costs, specifically the kennels and the backyard grading, as well as some of the final touches that we need to get it up and running. It's amazing. It's something that we've worked for so long, and to be able to have the city's backing with us just means so much.
The funding will be taken out of the 2023 General Government Operating Reserves. Callan Dunlop, Primetime, Local News.
The 33rd Annual Senior Bowl High School All-Star Game will be taking place May long weekend. Our Thomas Wildman has more on some of the local talent that will be playing for Team North.
It was a fierce competition to get to this point, but 39 players were selected to come to the Senior Bowl weekend and represent the North All-Stars team. 5 of those players will be coming from our very own Holy Rosary Raiders.
You know, this will be my first appearance at the Football Alberta level, and I'm really excited about it, to be able to play with, you know, the guys that have been selected because they are the best football players in Alberta. You know, it's a real honor to be able to be among that group, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun to be able to play on the same field as all the other guys in Alberta that are really talented and will go on to do great things in football.
The Bowl will take place on May long weekend with practices leading up to the game, but the Raiders players are happy that they will be able to have the connections already established between teammates, especially between quarterback and receiver.
Oh, it's just so great. And like sometimes even just looking at him, if I know what the route is, and there's just a look where it's like, okay, well, we know that if I'm lining up against this like defensive player that we can make a catch here and we can make a play, right? Because sometimes it's just a connection you have, you know, and just all it takes is some eye contact and you're like, okay, well, we can make a big play here, right? And there's a trust also, right, where it's like, if I'm going to run this certain route that he's got me, because we've done this before, like, yeah, countless times, right? So it's tons of confidence. And although before I was nervous, now going into it knowing that I have a guy that I've been with for a while, it's nice.
The main event of the weekend is the All-Star Game, where the players from across the province will compete in a North versus South showdown.
I'm super thrilled about it. The competition obviously is probably the best part about the whole experience, you know, getting to play against guys who want to be there as much as you and compete as hard as you. So yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to.
A few of the players are looking to possibly play post-secondary football, with one of the players gaining the opportunity from the Football Alberta camp.
At the Senior Bowl tryouts, I got offered to go try out for the Wildcats, and I took up that opportunity. I went and tried out for them last week, and coach sounded pretty good. They liked me, so I think I might have a chance to play there.
The North versus South game will take place at ME Global Athletic Park in Lacombe, May 22nd. Thomas Wildman, Primetime, Local News.
It's great to always see the success that that football program at Holy Rosary has each and every year. It's time now, though, for us to check in with Shelby Clark for another look at weather.
Thanks so much again there, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, now taking another extended look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off with our central zone of the provinces. And on the Alberta side, we are seeing some that are still sitting at those teens, of course, but we have warmed up slightly with Jasper and Athabasca. They're just hitting that 20-degree mark. Cold Lake seems to be the warmest kind of sharing this side with that 23-degree mark, and then we start to slightly cool down from there. Most spots are just sitting at 18, so a couple degrees off from that 20-degree mark, and then we have 16 there. Whitecourt and Red Deer seems to be the coolest, just at 12 degrees. So we definitely are seeing a range of different temperatures on our Alberta side as we are kind of switching things up here. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, they seem to be kind of sitting around the same areas as they are just past that 20-degree mark, with most spots just sitting at 22. So looking at some nice temperatures on this side, 23 over in Melfort, and then we got Prince Albert just sitting at 24. So we are slightly warming up as we go on through the week on our Saskatchewan side here, but they have been seeing slightly warmer conditions as we have been looking at throughout the week as well. Switching over to our northern zone, they are still kind of seeing the same conditions as what they saw yesterday, as some spots are, of course, just hitting 20 to 21, and the rest are just seeing slightly cooler at those mid-teens. 16, 17 for Wollaston Lake and down in South End, and then we have 23 there in Flin Flon as they are seeing the nicest temperature there. Switching over to our Alberta side here to check them out, they have warmed up slightly from what they have been seeing yesterday, except for Slave Lake as they have cooled down, just sitting at 16 now. And then we start to warm up from there. 20 degrees in Fort Chipewyan, while there's 21 over in Grand Prairie, and then we start to even see some slightly warmer conditions with 23 in Peace River and Fort McMurray, and then up in High Level just at 26. So High Level is even getting closer to that 30-degree mark. Going over to our southern zone, they actually are seeing probably the coolest conditions as we look through our central and our northern zone now that we're looking at our southern. On our Alberta side here, as they are still sitting at those mid-teens. The warmest we are looking at is just at 18 with Lethbridge, and we start to slightly cool down from there. 15 in Calgary as they are just right at the middle mark. 16, 17 for Coronation and down in Medicine Hat. Over in Banff, they're just sitting at 13 as they're just a few degrees off from that 10-degree mark. And going over to our Saskatchewan side, they continue to see slightly warmer conditions compared to our Alberta side here in our southern zone. But, you know, we are starting to cool down in some of these areas. 14, 15 for Swift Current and Moose Jaw, 19 there in Regina as they're just getting closer to 20 degrees. And then we are just hitting that mark with Kindersley, and then Estevan and over in Yorkton at 21 and 22. So it seems to be around 23, 24 is probably the most common temperature as we are looking across those zones there as we are seeing for the warmest conditions. Now as we look at some overnight evening lows, we are still kind of seeing those same plus temperatures, of course, as we continue on through our spring season heading into summer. We are starting to slightly warm up with some of these temperatures. A low of 8 that Isle Cross and Paradise Hill will be expecting tonight. Bonnyville and Provost will be expecting a low of 7, and Meadow Lake is going to be expecting a low of 5. So we are still going to be looking at some beautiful evening lows, and especially for tonight, as we are going to be expecting some mainly clear and just some cloudier conditions across the region. We won't be seeing anything too crazy with a high chance of precipitation and whatnot. Looking at our hourly forecast for our Friday here in the border cities, we kind of start off our weekend ahead here. We are going to be starting off quite warm already, around that 14-degree mark as we start off in the morning, and then midday afternoon around for our daytime high, 24 degrees. So we will be warming up tomorrow as we head into the weekend, which will be very nice because then we'll also be seeing a lot more sun. 24 tomorrow, and then looking at that 26 Saturday. Beautiful, beautiful weekend ahead. Although, of course, we know hopefully it will be it'll be careful out there with all those grass fires and whatnot. Even though it will be warming up, we still have some of those dry conditions. We will be looking at that 28 Sunday and Monday. So just in time for Mother's Day, please make sure to get out there and enjoy it as we are looking at some beautiful temperatures outside. And as we head into next week, we'll almost be hitting that 30-degree mark Monday and especially Tuesday. So be prepared as we might be hitting that extreme heat warning pretty soon. And as we go on through the rest of next week after Tuesday, we will be slightly cooling down next Wednesday and Thursday around that 25 and 23 mark. And that's all I have for now. RJ Smacky will have more news coming up after the break. Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Heather Sinfield with the Lloydminster Sexual Assault Service. Thank you so much for joining us today, Heather.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, no problem. Really excited to be able to have you on here because, as we all know, for May, this is Sexual Violence Awareness Month.
It is.
So I know with the services that you are actually offering a Foundation 500 initiative. So starting off, can you kind of explain what that's all about?
Absolutely. So I'll backtrack just for a moment. We did our 40th anniversary, a Night Under the Stars gala in February, with a very significant goal of $450,000 to raise for our crumbling foundation. We are so grateful. It was an amazing night, and we are currently sitting at $85,000.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
Awesome.
Yep.
So we kind of looked at how else we could potentially raise those funds by really meeting the need to ensure our foundation is going to be repaired. So we are applying for a grant through the Alberta government, which is a matching grant. So if we can come up with $225,000, they will match it for us. And we've been successful with this grant in the past before, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. So the Foundation 500 is a way to invite community members, whether it's individuals, businesses, families, groups of friends, to pool together $500 and donate directly towards this cause. So that is where we are at. There are features on our website where folks can do like a one-time payment, 2 monthly payments, or 5 monthly payments. So lots of options to kind of play around. We've had some businesses doing like an internal contest to see, you know, which group can raise the $500 the quickest, things like that. Families pooling together resources. So there's lots of options for it.
Oh, that's a really amazing idea. It sounds like you're getting some strong support already for it. And I was just going to ask, so I'm guessing this is a new initiative for the Services Center, just coming up with this.
It is, yes. We haven't done something like this before, so it's definitely a new way for us to fundraise dollars. And we are trying to do it relatively quickly. This grant application is due June 15th, so the more funds that we can kind of show that we have ready for that, the easier it is for us on our end to get this foundation repaired. We did have issues with it in April, so it's something that we definitely need to be navigating and fixing so that we can continue the services that are needed in our community.
Yeah, and I know you're already going a little bit into the backstory of it. I was just going to ask, you know, for expanding a bit more on for this Foundation 500 initiative, what really came up like with the idea for this, inspired it, I guess, for the sexual assault services?
I think just the need to repair the foundation. So we know, you know, I'll be honest, fixing a foundation is not glamorous. It's not something that people are like, oh, we're donating towards a sports team or towards a specific program or anything like that. It's a foundation, it's a basement. But without this repair, we're gonna see structural issues. We already do have water issues coming in, service disruption, that sort of thing. And we don't want to have to cancel sessions just because we're having issues with our foundation. A really neat factor of our building is it's one of the oldest buildings in our downtown core. Yeah. Where the building is going to turn 100 in 2027. So we want to secure that space for another 100 years to come, make it useful, and really encourage the community to feel like they're a part of it.
And I know there was a little bit on Facebook that I was kind of seeing that had to do with a partnership with Sobeys right now for the month. Can you kind of go a little bit into that?
So we have a few kind of events going on for Sexual Violence Awareness Month. So aside from the Foundation 500, Sobeys is generously donating $1 from every cupcake sale that they have right now. So
they look delicious, by the way.
They are. Teal cupcakes, so folks can go and purchase those, and the support goes right to the center. We also have a pancake breakfast at Synergy Credit Union in partnership with United Way. And that's going to happen on May 29th in the morning, so that's coming too. You can also watch our social media feeds because we're doing a victim blaming series, so just really understanding what victim blaming is as it pertains to sexual violence. Great information for us as community members to understand how that can impact survivors as they disclose. And then we also have a teaching boundaries and consent workshop for parents and caregivers, and that's coming up on May 25th.
Is there anything else going on with the with services for this month that you want to kind of let us know about that I may have missed out on?
No, I think that's just about it. Just to acknowledge too, we're seeing such an increase in services. So I know with our Foundation 500, we're speaking to the fact that in 2022, we provided services to 800 individuals. That's within the city of Lloydminster and our service area of 200-kilometer radius. What we're seeing in the first quarter of this year is we're getting a new intake a day. So from January to March, we had 90 new intakes. In the years that I've been there, I've never seen our intakes so high. So I know that sexual violence, it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's challenging to think about and wrap our heads around, but it is something that's affecting our community members, and the resource is essential to keep the foundation going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for people out there that just want to find some more information, I guess my last question is, where can they look online and whatnot to be able to look into more of this?
For sure. They can visit us at our Facebook page or at www.lsas.ca. So there is a Foundation 500 initiative tab, and that's the easiest way to kind of go through and donate. They can even just call into the center, drop off a donation, ask questions, and all of our programs and services are listed really well on that website too to understand more.
No, perfect, Heather. Thank you so much for coming in to be able to speak on this. This is very important. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
I'm joined today on Primetime Local News by Daryl Anderson, a country artist who's coming to Lloydminster and will be performing at the Groove on Friday night. Daryl, thanks for joining me.
Most definitely. I was happy to rush home and come meet you here.
So you're going to be coming to Lloydminster on Friday. You're going to be performing at the Groove. Just talk a little bit about how exciting it is to be coming here to be performing.
You know, I always try to say that I'm kind of new to the whole music scene, but I'm doing quite well, I like to think. I've been nominated for like Male Vocalist of the Year, Indigenous Vocalist of the Year, and stuff like that. So now the more I can kind of just spread out is exciting for me. And I have family and friends in Lloyd. So when they said, hey, do you want to come to the Groove? I was more than happy to.
No, that's exciting. I know you mentioned a little bit, you have some family around here. I know you're from Saskatchewan. Can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself for people who maybe don't know much about you? Talk a little bit about the type of music that you're into playing as well.
Okay, well, I grew up in a small town called Big River, and I moved to Saskatoon a handful of years ago. And man, you know what? I always grew up around music, and I got into, you know, taking music seriously in about 2019, and then we all kind of know how that went. So I spent a lot of time on TikTok and on Facebook Lives and stuff like that, just trying to get the word out. And it's just kind of like, and it's spreading, and it's spreading good, and I put a lot of work into it, and I got a good kind of group of guys with me, and we're all excited. We all just love music and jump at the opportunities to play. So like I said, I'm just kind of getting out there more and more. So yeah, I played in Lloyd once before at one of the bars there, so it was a fun time then. So I'm happy to totally be coming back.
Hopefully you'll have a great reaction from people here in Lloydminster to the show on Friday. I know country music has a big part of the community here, and a lot of people are into country music. Talk to me a little bit about what people can expect from your show on Friday.
Well, I kind of classify myself as like a country rock artist, and but I also kind of classify it as feel good music. So, you know what, with the way I think of it is that there's enough kind of negative stuff going on in the world and all that kind of fun stuff. So I like to hope that you can come out, watch our show. It's high energy, it's feel good music. So we kind of mix it up. We do some mashups, and you'd be like, oh, I haven't heard that song in a while, or that's a little bit differently. We like to try and keep people on their toes and keep them on the dance floor and stuff like that. And yeah, I think we put on a pretty good and high energy show where we have fun doing it. So
that's good. That's what everyone needs these days, is a little more fun, especially on a Friday night. So people can head down on Friday and get tickets at the door. I know they're also being sold ahead of time at Cheers right next door. For people maybe who want to look into you a little more, listen to some of your music before committing to go to this show, where can people find out more about you?
Oh, I encourage people to check it out. I'm happy that they do. You can find videos. I do videos on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I got an actual music video on YouTube for one of my songs called Radio Save My Soul. And that was a fun video and stuff like that. But definitely ahead of time, do some research, and I'm telling you, it'll be a fun show. All my social media is all just Daryl Anderson Music. Type in Daryl Anderson Music, and you can kind of find me everywhere. But yeah, I'm happy to come down, and I'm totally looking forward to it. I'm actually coming down early tomorrow just to spend a little extra time in Lloyd, and we're gonna go have supper and stuff like that, and just kind of enjoy Lloyd. So.
And that's our show on this Thursday night. Thank you all so much for joining us for this edition of Primetime Local News. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.